Sworn in for Conrad Murray's involuntary manslaughter trial, and we're learning much more about these jurors on the eve of opening statements, including what they watch on TV. Now, speaking of that CSI effect, take a look at this. Juror number 2 is a 57-year-old white female who says she does watch CSI. Juror number 1, a 51-year-old Mexican male, watches Law and Order. You got this. 6 different jurors said they were Michael Jackson fans. 3 said they followed the Casey Anthony case, and only 2 followed O.J. Simpson's trial. My panel is back with me to talk about these jurors. All right, Gene Casares, let me go to you first. I want to talk about seat 1, juror number 31, I guess was the original number, 51-year-old Mexican male, letter carrier for the U.S. Postal Service. But these are the 2 things. Watches Law and Order and is a fan of Michael Jackson's music. That sounds like me.
That sounds like you. Well, that is typical of the jurors. You know, the forensic effect has permeated our court system for quite a while now because people are riveted by these things. And I believe he also said that it was his duty to be a juror if called upon. So I think this is going to be a jury that wants to be here. They're fascinated with forensics. This is going to be a forensics case. We have heard that. So this is going to be testimony hopefully they will love. But I don't think it's surprising that vast majority are Michael Jackson fans on the jury.
Yeah, 750 million albums sold. You know, if you're of any certain age, you're going to be a fan of Michael Jackson because we know how he dominated the best decade ever, the 80s. Seat 2, Alan Duke, juror number 55, 57-year-old divorced white female. She's an accounting manager. Husband declared bankruptcy in the past, but watches CSI, and her younger brother uses drugs. They aren't close. You know, watching CSI these days, you know, that's one of... There's 5 different versions of it. Everyone, you know, has probably seen it once or twice, but if this someone watches it regularly, again, the big question is their expectation level raised through the roof in terms of evidence?
Yeah, well, they're going to get an awful lot of scientific evidence in this. If the preliminary hearing is an indication, and it is, they're going to hear so much scientific evidence, especially from the autopsy, the analysis of the autopsy, the stomach contents, the liver contents, and all of that. They're going to get a real education in the how the body processes drugs. So for those CSI fans, and they're certainly going to get something to ponder during this trial.
I want to jump ahead here, Beth and Ryan, to juror number 8, seat 11, juror number 18. And this is interesting. 36-year-old Hispanic female, workers' comp, customer service rep, right? All right.
Yep.
Shot in a drive-by shooting in 1993.
Yes.
But also, the last one, followed Casey Anthony's case. Ryan, is there any impact here, all the way out in L.A.? I mean, yeah, we got palm trees, but we're not in Orlando anymore. Is it possible that someone who followed that case could somehow be impacted by that verdict?
I think it's possible. And not only Casey Anthony, but O.J. Simpson. I think if you have somebody on that jury who thinks, you know what, I don't see the jury system, the legal system working the way I think it should, there's the possibility for some blowback to look at the defendant negatively. But I also think another big impact are the number of people on this jury, and I was astounded by this, that know someone who has used drugs or know someone who has been injured via alcohol, people who have died of drug overdose.
That might be a bigger issue.
That could be a bigger issue because that focuses on the victim. Even though you're a Michael Jackson fan, you start thinking, wait a second, this makes sense, and I'm going to use this knowledge to sort of view this trial through those glasses, what addiction means to me.
Yeah, what jumps out at you when you think about these jurors? And we talk about whether it's the CSI effect, Michael Jackson fan, relatives with addiction problems. What do you think becomes the biggest issue here? You
know, there are 6 people who identify as fans, and then there's a 7th person who says she doesn't consider herself a fan, but she owns a Thriller CD. So, I mean, it doesn't mean she's a fan, but she likes his music enough to have the CD, right? It came out, it was a record, it was vinyl. Also, regarding the 3 jurors who say they watched Casey Anthony, 2 of them said they watched it because it involved a child. So that's not going to concern the defense so much here because this case doesn't involve a child. And that was the motivating factor. As far as following O.J. Simpson, it was a long time ago. It was 1995. This trial is just down the hall.
That's surprising, only 2.
Yeah, and they were young. One watched it in school. Television was brought in, and it was an educational tool. But any of the jurors who followed a trial were asked if they came away with any opinions about it, and one or two didn't have an opinion, but most said, you know, it was instructive, educational, and they learned that, one said it's a complex system. We do the best we can under the circumstances.
We'll see, we'll see. They got their work cut out for them. You know, Michael Jackson's oldest child makes an appearance in Germany. Why Michael's son, Prince Michael Jackson, was dressed up just like his father, next. It's Michael Jackson's oldest son, Prince Michael Jackson. Over the weekend in Berlin, Prince was at the Bambi Awards, and he was dressed just like his dad. Prince was there to donate the handwritten lyrics to some of Michael Jackson's biggest songs, like Billie Jean and Bad. They're being auctioned off for charity. Current bid for Bad, $27,000. Join me now from our sister network, True TV, and In Session correspondents Beth Karras and Gene Casares, and CNN producer Alan Duke. Alan, what can you tell me about Prince Michael's trip to Germany?
Well, he went on Thursday, traveled not with a family member, but with a close family friend, someone who works very closely with Prince's grandparents, Joe and Catherine Jackson. In fact, I knew a day ahead of time that they were headed out, that he was very excited to go and represent his father and accept an award for him at the Bambi Awards, I think it's called, in Berlin. And in fact, he gave some remarks, just a short little speech. But I believe he is on his way back now. I haven't been able to confirm that, but it was great seeing those pictures of him dressed like his dad in what was it? I think the outfit that he wore during his bad days. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Gene Casares, the one thing, we always think about Michael Jackson, the icon, Michael Jackson, the singer, Michael Jackson, the superstar. Michael Jackson was a father. He was a dad. And it's nice to see at this time, which maybe is going to be absolutely difficult for the children, the man accused of killing their father on trial here in Los Angeles. I think it's good that he's out there in Berlin and out in the public eye a little bit and doing some great work for charity.
Sure, no question about it. But here in front of the Los Angeles courthouse, the whole question is going to be with people, are the children not only going to be present at the trial, but could they be witnesses? We know they're on the witness list. Jermaine Jackson said last week in an interview with HLN that the family did not want the children present at the trial, but that doesn't mean, Vinnie, that they won't get notice to have to come to this courthouse to testify. That's the question, and nobody truly can answer it now except prosecutors, and they're not talking.
Yeah, and you look at those children, you remember at the time of the memorial, Beth Karras, it was a while ago. These children have grown up some, and Prince Michael now is turning into a young man.
Right, a huge change in them in the past 2 years, and they seem to be doing well, and I hope they're adjusting well. You know, witness lists always include more names than either side intends to call, and that's because they need to include names so the jury's notified of them that will be brought up during the trial. So there's no question that Prince and Paris's names are going to be mentioned because they were mentioned during the preliminary hearing because they were in the room and Paris started screaming, "Daddy, Daddy," and Dr. Murray says, "Get the kids out of here." And Dr. Murray had actually asked the chef, Kai Chase, to get Prince up there before any other security, 911, before anyone else or anyone was called. So they're going to be mentioned, and that's at least one of the reasons why their names are on the witness list. Does not mean they're going to actually get on the stand.
We shall see. You know, there's word, though, that Michael Jackson's kids may want to testify in this trial. Could we really see them on the witness stand? Keep it right here on HLN's Special Report.
Right here.
Really, at that moment, I think the whole world realized that Michael Jackson wasn't just an icon, he was a father. That's Michael's only daughter, Paris Jackson, speaking at his funeral 2 years ago. You can certainly tell that she loves her daddy. And according to a new report, she and her brother want to defend him in court by taking the stand. The question is, will Grandma allow it? My panel is back with me from our sister network, True TV, in-session correspondents Beth Karras and Gene Casares. Also with us, Alexis Tereshchuk, senior reporter for RadarOnline.com, is also with us. And Gene is with us, right? Alexis, they want to testify. Is this two kids who now are growing up and becoming, you know, they're becoming, I mean, Prince Michael, a young man now that want to get in there and see justice for their daddy?
They do. They absolutely, they feel so strongly that what they have to say could really sway the jury. They love their dad so much. They were there the second, really, that he died, and they want to tell their side of the story. You know, Paris wasn't afraid. She stood up on the stage at the funeral. She spoke so eloquently. You know, she cried. It was really sad, but it showed how much she really did love her dad. It's not the weird family that everybody thought it would be. It was just a loving home, and these kids want to tell their side of the story. But you're right. Grandma doesn't want them to do it. Catherine Jackson's really nervous about this. She doesn't think it'll work.
I can see that. Beth, what is... Are they subpoenaed, not subpoenaed? They're on a list, not on a list? Do we know?
They're on the witness list because their names could be mentioned. Doesn't mean they're going to testify. Whether they've been subpoenaed, we're not privy to. But I can tell you it's not Catherine's decision, and it's not the kid's decision. I was a prosecutor, you were a prosecutor, you know that your witnesses don't decide, right? You're going to subpoena them, they're going to testify. If Dave Walgren wants them, they'll be there. I don't know if he wants them.
Yeah. Gene Casares, if those children entered that courtroom and got up on that witness stand, I think this becomes a whole different trial. And you know, I don't know how many people realize, you know, the other side of Michael Jackson. You know, it's always Michael Jackson. It's bigger than life, right? But when one of those children speaks, it's Michael Jackson, someone's daddy.
You know, Vinnie, I think it changes the course of this trial if they walk in that courtroom, just as you said, and I think it changes it in favor of the prosecution, because if the defense is alleging that Michael Jackson, under so much pressure, wanting to do things to just maintain status quo or even take his life, the question has to be, with these children living under the same roof, and he was a wonderful father, would he really have intent to do that? Would that be a state of mind when he alone was raising those children?
You know, that's a great point, Gene. And Alexis, that's, you know, you talk about Michael Jackson and the issues that he was dealing with, and we know what the defense wants to do here. You know, someone who's desperate, someone who, you know, would take that stuff himself or need the drugs to be put asleep. But if you make him a father, and you make him someone who is adored and loved, and you have children that rely upon him, he's the only parent.
He is the only parent.
There's no mom in the picture.
No, there never was. Michael had to deal with her from day one. He was the only person, and in fact, he kept them very separate from his entire family. They weren't really close with their cousins. They saw their grandmother, but not as much as they do now. And so this is really going to give a human face to this man who isn't there to defend himself anymore. These kids are the best representation for him, and that's what they want to do. They want people to know how much they love their dad and how sorry they are that he's not with them anymore.
Alan Duke, I know you're very close with Prince Michael and Paris's and Blanket's grandma, Catherine Jackson. What are her thoughts about this whole thing, about having the kids exposed either as witnesses or to even know what's taking place in that courthouse behind us?
Oh, these kids very well know what's going on in the courthouse. They have full access to the internet. Catherine Jackson, the grandmom who has custody, has not kept them away from that. To give you an example, I just checked Paris Jackson's Twitter account. She's tweeted 2,700 times on Twitter in just the last 3 or 4 months. She doesn't tweet about this case, though. She usually is about boyfriend advice and things like that, just 13-year-old kind of stuff. But they are very outspoken kids. It wouldn't surprise me that they want to testify, but whether they do, I really don't expect it, because Catherine Jackson indicated to me that they would not be coming here.
Beth Karas, do you think the prosecution, let's say the trial's going along and you get a feeling in your gut, you know, things aren't going as well as I thought they were going. Does it make it more possible? Because it strengthens the prosecution case, doesn't it?
Well, the only, I suppose. I don't know if it was strengthened. Well, maybe. Prince would be the only one I could see testifying, not Paris, because Prince was the one who was summoned by Dr. Murray. He told the chef, Kai Chase, get Prince, and Prince, you know, ran upstairs, and then Alvarez comes. Everything happens very quickly, but Prince is up there quickly. So if Alvarez, for some reason, doesn't come off as very credible, don't forget, he's the one who's holding the bags for Murray and dumping medicine bottles in, and then they're being hidden. If for some reason a cross-examination affects his credibility, then maybe Prince will be called to you know, rehabilitate that. But
would you, as a prosecutor?
Well, I don't know all the evidence that the state has. This is in Florida, you know. We don't know everything they have.
See, the part of this, Alexis, is that I just think it brings another, and I know they're going to be charged. Listen, don't come to your verdict based on emotion or anything else, but you've got to make that victim more than the king of pop. I mean, it has to be done. I think it's so important for the jury to understand that, because for a lot of people, Michael Jackson, we saw him on TV, we see a guy in videos. It's almost like it's not real that he's no longer with us.
No, he wasn't real to anybody except his close family and the few fans that got to interact with him. So this is you say that it's just the evidence, but it's more than that. People go with their gut feeling. You can show them all the evidence in the world, like in Casey Anthony, and the jurors are still going to say, nope, we didn't believe it. These kids would provide that really human element, just something that would be gut-wrenching, and it might really sway the jury.
I'm wondering, Beth, maybe we can set up a rule here in L.A. We have to limit our mentions of Casey Anthony, and we'll try to start with a clean slate out here in L.A. Gene Casares. Oh, are we out of time? Oh, we got time, right? We have time. Okay. I hear music. I didn't know what it was. Okay. Gene Casares, we're talking about these two children, their lives now. They're in great hands, we know, with Katherine Jackson. But it's a much different life that they're leading now than they would have led had Michael still been around and still been their dad.
Very, very much so, but they're being raised like Michael Jackson was, because in essence they have the same mother. It's Katherine Jackson, who we do expect in this courtroom almost every day of that trial.
Alan Duke, okay. Alan Duke, now I'm officially out of time, Alan Duke, so I can't tell you anymore. Coming up, folks.
This is Bob dancing in his jail cell.